Book Talk has once again lied to me. And I'm not talking a little exaggeration. No, no, no. I'm not even talking it just wasn't for me. I'm talking they lied to me and it was full on misleading. Because I went into Hemlock and Silver by T Kingfisher expecting something dark, gripping, and emotionally consuming. And what I got was definitely not that. And today we're going to break it all down. Why this book didn't live up to the hype, why people are overpraising it, and why you need to know the truth before you spend your time and money. Alright guys, this is the Read It Rant Podcast. Let's get it.
Welcome to the Read It and Rant Podcast, where we don't sugarcoat anything, no filters, no holding back, just raw, loud opinions. So turn it up.
Alright,
Get ready to
trust me
rant.
on this take, alright? This one might ruffle some feathers with all the opinions I have that I'm about to state, alright? And I want to welcome everybody back to the Read It Rant Podcast. If you're new here, we break down books with real opinions, no fluff, no fake hype, no playing it safe. We are 100% honest. And on today's episode, this is one of those moments where I wish I had someone tell me the truth before I actually bought this, because Hemlock and Silver has been floating around Book Talk and everywhere else on reviews, getting praised like it's the best thing since sliced bread, and it's something special. And I need to tell you all about it, all right? And also, later in this episode, I'm going to break down where this book actually lost me. We're also going to talk about the biggest problem with modern fantasy pacing, and I'm going to tell you why Book Talk keeps getting this kind of thing wrong. So please stay locked in. Let's dive right into it, too, about Hemlock and Silver. On paper, this book should have been incredible. The concept was strong, the potential was absolutely there, but the execution was where everything started to fall apart. The story builds this atmosphere that should have been feeling immersive, but instead of pulling you in, it drags, and not in a slow burn payoff kind of way, because those are fun to read. It's more of a why am I still waiting for something to happen kind of way. The pacing is the biggest issue. The pacing feels like the book is seriously stuck in first gear, almost in neutral, like it's not moving halfway through the book, and it doesn't really start to get into second and third gear till doesn't even go to fourth by the end of the book. It actually dials back to one, and it ends horrible. It just makes you wait and wait and wait, and instead of tension building, it just feels stagnant. Now, there's also a difference between a slow burn and slow progression with irrelevant details with no payoff. And this leans way too far into my second complaint, which is the writing style. Now, I gotta give credit where credit is due, alright? The writing itself is technically solid. You can tell they're skiller, but good writing doesn't automatically equal an engaging story. Because if the story isn't moving, if the characters aren't driving anything, then all that beautiful prose starts to feel like filler. And the characters are where I really started to get disconnected from the book. I didn't feel locked in emotionally. I wasn't invested the way I needed to be. And if I'm not invested in the characters, the story really loses weight. And that is exactly what happened here. You know, this book did have potential, a lot of potential, but it never fully delivers on it. And that is, to be honest, one of the most frustrating things about, this book. Because you can see what it could have been, but it never gets there. And also, I also want to address book talk culture. Book talk hype culture is becoming a problem, and this book is a perfect example. People aren't reviewing books anymore. They're reacting to trends, they're reacting to aesthetics, they're reacting to vibes, they're reacting to what's popular but not what actually delivers. Because, saying this book is mid doesn't go viral, but saying this book changed my life does. So what happens? Everything gets overhyped. Fourth Wing is a prime example, and people are going to give me flack for that, but it's mediocre. The result is, readers go in expecting greatness and walk out disappointed. When they start questioning, is it me? No, it's the hype machine. Like I literally sit there with these books that Book Talk overhypes, and I literally ask, I was like, is it me? Or am I being overly critical? Or is it the hype machine? And I've come to the conclusion it's the hype machine, because I actually go look at other reviewers who actually review the book for pacing and these other issues, and they say the same thing I am, so I know it's not me. Now, let's reset the energy really quick, okay? So I want to share my thoughts on 5 books that are quick hits with no fluff. We got book 1. It's got great concept, but poor execution, and that book is A Bargain So Bloody. Book 2, it's entertaining but forgettable, is The Hunger Games. Book 3 is actually lived up to the hype, was the Bound and the Broken series. Book 4, the Mistborn trilogy, is honestly carried by one strong element, and that's written by Brandon Sanderson. And then Book 5 is the Wheel of Time series. That series should have been freaking shorter. Like, all of those on Book Talk, A Bargain So Bloody, there was seriously poor execution. The Hunger Games, I'm not even going to talk about, because it's just Katniss and Peeta whine too much. Ryan Cahill, the Bound and Broken series, is amazing. I can't wait till 2028 when his next book in that series comes out. I'm not even going to read the rest of the books I have until the next book comes out. And the Mistborn trilogy, I tried to read Mistborn by Sanderson, but honestly, like, if you're a writer and you refer to your peasants as ska, SKAA, dude, that pissed me off. I'm sitting there like reading it, and I'm like, that is poor writing. Like it annoys me every time I read that ska phrase because it's stupid. Like saying that book could have been so much more, but like throughout the whole book, every heist they had failed, and I don't understand what the hype is with Mistborn or Brandon Sanderson because he's a mid writer. He's not great like everybody puts him on this pedestal to be. His writing is very dross. And the Wheel of Time series, rest in peace to Robert Jordan. I don't want to talk about, a man that's deceased because, but, Jordan's writing is very repetitive, and he has a very bad problem in his writing of overly developing his characters. And I understand it's an expansive world, but those books could have been way, way shorter. But, let's zoom out for a minute because this isn't just about one book either. This is about a trend. Modern fantasy, what I'm finding is it's starting to confuse with complexity with engagement. It's just, we're getting slower starts, more setup, irrelevant details, extremely 100, 150 pages, 250 pages of really expansive, irrelevant world building, and there's less payoff early, and readers are being told, just wait, it gets good. But here's the truth. If a book takes too long to get good, most people like me aren't staying. I don't want to sit here and get info dumped on and learn about a mythical world, the tax policies of a kingdom that it's mythological, it's fake. I don't want to know about that. I don't want to know about his best friend's pet, snake, or something that has nothing to do with the main plot of the story. You just get to the meat and potatoes. Like, go back to the way that, epic fantasy used to be, with an old school epic fantasy writing style, with fast pacing, good plot points. The plot and the pacing were fast, and they went hand in hand with each other, because what makes a book really hit is early engagement, character investment, momentum, and when those are missing, even good writing can't save it. And I also want to turn turn around this as well to my community. It's your turn. I know this one is going to be divisive, and I want to talk about it. Did Book Talk lie about this one? Did you enjoy it, or did you feel the same way I did? Please drop it in the comments, because I already know. This one is really going to spark some debate. And at the end of the day, not every book is for everyone, but hype should match reality. And for me, this one really didn't. It was supposed to be a dark retelling of Snow White, and I felt like I was in geometry class when it was talking about the magic mirror. And it was just, when it described the angles and the optics of the mirror, and the whole end of the book was just horrible. The way it talked about, Snow and her sister, and it was written horribly. The writing was just good enough to keep my attention for like a little bit, but it just got to the point, like, I'm just sitting there, I'm like, are we ever going to get to the meat and the potatoes of the story? You alluded to it in the first part of it, then the beginning, then the magic mirror, and then all of a sudden, throughout the whole book, it's like flashbacks and characters that have no relevance to the story. And I still want to read T Kingfisher's other book to critique them and to see if I like them, because her writing she uses the English language very beautifully, I'm not going to lie, but the writing style itself of the book this book could have been so much better if she'd excluded all that dross in the middle and pushed the plot back a lot, like into the middle of the book, and expanded on that world, and made the magic mirror part of it a lot more darker than what it was. And I know, with that thought in mind, tomorrow we're going to dive into a book that might completely flip the script. So make sure you stay locked in, follow, subscribe, and please stick with the Read It Rant podcast, where we don't sugarcoat anything. Read It and Rant is out.